Activision needs some activism.
I like that. That's a good slogan. Activision needs activism.
Yes, and speaking of getting this ball rolling, that actually is what we're talking about, because this is something that kind of started months ago, and we covered this. And holy crap, it's actually happening, but there's some issues behind.
Yeah.
So what's happening?
So what we're talking about is earlier this week, the announcement was official. A union has formed at Activision-Blizzard.
Yes. We mentioned this a while ago.
Yes, there's actual workers union there.
For game developers.
Yes, for the game devs.
And it resulted from some horrible BS. I think they laid off like their entire QA team, or almost their entire QA team.
Yes, they did.
And the remaining 19 people were like, no. What's the company involved specifically?
I believe it's Raven Software.
Yes.
They were subcontracted to help out with Call of Duty.
Yes.
And that's what they're most known for, is their contributions to Call of Duty.
Yes.
And that studio was absolutely gutted by Activision-Blizzard.
100%.
And as a result, 19 of their remaining employees successfully formed a union.
Yes, they did. And if under normal circumstances, in a world where everything is beautiful and works out and all the pieces fall into place, that is where we would end this. And I would give my outro and we would wave goodbye. But this is not a perfect world. And unfortunately, some ugly bullshit's happened. Yeah.
So, you guys, first of all, before we dive into, what has unfolded since then, let's just talk about this for a minute. Unions.
Yeah.
Unions at game dev studios.
Because we've gone over this topic before, and we're 100% behind it. The film industry, for example, to kind of refresh, the film industry had a lot of abuses towards its crew and its cast. Back in the day, if you worked in the film industry, your ass was lucky to be on camera. And, extras would get injured or perhaps even die. People were discarded like tissue paper and vastly underpaid.
Yeah.
Then the SAG and other unions, specifically for the film industry, came into existence, and things started to improve.
Things improved, and you got away from the tyranny of the studio system.
Yeah. So in our previous video, we mentioned that the game industry eventually has to follow this model, and we pointed specifically to the Activision-Blizzard debacle. Kiro's mentioning the girl that was sexually harassed. Yes, the whole bullshit that Activision
was terrible. Yes.
Absolutely disgusting. But that did start a snowball effect that has led to this one subcontracted studio to start to unionize. And they did it. They actually voted and they formed a union.
Yes, they did.
And it is a result of everything that's happened and a natural progression of an industry. See, I cannot stress this enough, guys. I know I'm repeating myself. It is a natural progression of an industry, specifically an industry that has subcontractors and in the entertainment industry is really big, to go into a union setup. This is natural. This is normal. And this is the beginning of something good, but there's still some hurdles. It's not over yet.
No, it's not. But, just to repeat what you said, the conditions, the horrible working conditions at these large and to some extent medium-sized game dev studios has contributed to the push to unionize.
Yes.
And these are horrible working conditions.
Yes.
We are all very well aware of what's going on.
I read an article. I read an article about 2 or 3 months ago, written by someone, and I think it was written a while ago. One of you all in our community actually linked this to me. But it was an article written by someone that actually talks down about the idea of hating crunch. And the summation of the article is it's part of the job. It's, you're getting into it, signing on to a studio, and
Mhm.
just accept it because it's part of it. And it's not so much that the crunch is bad, it's that the work culture surrounding the crunch and the way that the managers treat crunch is bad. And while it was a well-written article and well articulated by somebody within the industry, I completely disagree with it, because to me, and I've always believed this, having worked for 2 studios, I will stand and
Mhm.
die by this. Crunch is a result of poor management from a project level all the way up to the executives. That is why crunch
Mhm.
exists. So when you have something like abusive crunch, there's no excuse, and you need to protect yourself. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that's led to unions. Hey, Bon Bon, good to see you, dear. Hope things are going well.
Hey, Bonbon.
Yeah. Good.
So, I do want to hear from chat. y- You're, what do you think
Yeah.
about these people
Yeah.
unionizing? Yes, it's happening at Activision Blizzard, but uh, do you support it happening elsewhere? What's the good and the bad about this?
Right. Right. What is it? And also, it's not all roses, is it? It's not all roses.
No, it's not. It's not, because as a result, of course, you saw this coming. As a result of the union being successful, Activision Blizzard doubled down big time to to discredit them, to minimize them, to crush them,
Delegitimize the entire concept.
delegitimize.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good word, to delegitimize this new union.
Yeah. It is repugnant and disgusting, but unfortunately not surprising. We have seen throughout the world, but specifically in Western countries, specifically in the United States, this kind of anti-union push. And I am not going to get into that debate about unionizing versus non-unionizing. But what Activision Blizzard is doing is they're attempting to crush an infant movement that is born out of the
Mhm.
necessity to protect the average worker in the industry from an abuse that has been going on way too long.
Correct. That you just take a step back and look. That's the whole reason why this union was formed, because the working conditions at Activision Blizzard are just horrifying,
Right.
absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
And since the union has formed, Activision Blizzard has taken to the press and done everything they could, as Steele said, to delegitimize this union. They've said, "Oh yeah, we already mediate. We already have all of their demands are already in place." They've listed out the demands that the union supposedly said,
Right.
and said, "Oh well, we've addressed this, we've addressed this, we've addressed this. This is all old stuff, blah blah blah." And then the final thing they did was say, "Oh well, it was just 19 employees out of 350 that pushed for this union, and we would love to hear the voices of the other 339."
There is so much to unpack there.
What the fuck? Yeah. Um, and here, and it's a small studio.
Right.
You're talking about, after they gutted it, 350 people left.
It doesn't
Really?
Yeah, so the best way to kind of go over this is to compare it to any small studio in existence right now. Smaller game studios like Raven Software thrive on getting contracts for large projects from AAA studios, because really you
Mhm.
have only a few options. I'm going to say you have 2 for the sake of this conversation. If you're a small indie studio, you are either creating your indie project, like for example Midgar Studios in France creating Edge of Eternity, or,
Right.
and this is far more common, you contract yourself out to a much larger studio, and that larger studio pays you to do something like character design, animation,
Mhm.
levels, writing, pick a thing.
Yeah. Pick a thing.
And these smaller studios thrive on those contracts. Without them, they're going to go out of business because they don't have their own project to work on. The people on their teams specifically are there and making money and surviving and feeding their families because these large AAA studios are subcontracting them out. So they are beholden to these large companies. And when Blizzard does what it just did, it is like saying, oh, it's just 19 people. It's just these people. And they're all pissy. And we want to hear what the others have to say. Well, please understand, to Raven Software, those 19 people, that's their lives.
Yeah. And those 19 people are representing their company.
Yeah.
So for the opposing team, Activision-Blizzard management, to say something like that is rather I think rather egregious.
It is insanely people blind and really just missing the whole point. There's a couple of points that I want to bring up specifically related to what Activision-Blizzard said. So the mediation part. Mediation clauses in contracts, which to me should be illegal, are if you have a problem with the company, instead of taking them to court, you agree to a third-party mediator who listens to your side, listens to their side, and then renders a decision. 99.9999999% of the time, that mediation company is in the employ or is paid by the big company. Guess where the bias goes.
Exactly.
Duh. So as far as the policies go, we all know about what happened with the sexual harassment. If you don't know about the sexual harassment at Activision Blizzard, look it up. It was a huge, huge, huge deal, okay? So they're saying that they've addressed that. But have they really? Has it been satisfactorily resolved? Or did they just do everything they could to downplay it and sweep it under the rug? Is it something that's going to happen again? Are there safeguards in place for subcontractors? You know, these are things that need to be looked at. Also, we've addressed all the issues is the most dodgy ass thing in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, list all the issues and how you're dealing with them, because having a employee suggestion box is not dealing with the issue of not listening to your employees. That's something the pointy-haired boss from Dilbert puts in there just to like make himself feel better before he goes off on his Corvette. That was frighteningly specific. I love Dilbert.
That was very specific. Yeah.
Yeah, we admit no wrongdoing, but we're going to try to fix the problem. Thank you, Kiro. And then the last part. So, there's only 19 people. We'd like to hear what the other 350 who work for Activision Blizzard have to say. They can, until they are blue in the face, say there's going to be no retaliation. And there is not a sane person alive in this god green earth who's going to believe that shit. No one's going to believe that. I wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. The slimes over there wouldn't believe it. Nobody would believe it.
Yeah.
So it's completely disingenuous. And it is unsurprising that that is how Activision Blizzard responds to a company of 19 people finally having the guts to unionize.
Yep. So this is very interesting. A lot of people are watching this. Obviously the industry is watching it, but people outside the industry are watching this too.
Yeah.
Business analysts are watching this. Management. I just had the right word. Counselors, coaches, whatever. They're watching this. Everybody's watching this.
Yeah.
And we will see what happens if this becomes a Harvard case study, or if it becomes a historical record that things did change that day.
The sad kind of reality, to kind of get my last thoughts, is that major shakeups like this, things like Gamergate, which was disgusting, things like the sexual harassment at Activision Blizzard, which was disgusting, things like the delegitimization of an actual union attempt from Raven Software, which is disgusting. These things, unfortunately, are needed in order to shake up the industry and provide change. It is a historical precedent that disaster is required in order to cause lasting, hard change. And unfortunately, the game industry is no different. But what I hope, and what I hope, Teal, and you all hope, is that when the dust settles from this, regardless of the public smear campaign, the public delegitimization campaign done by Activision Blizzard, when all this is settled, regardless of that there is a change, and that change, like a tree, continues to blossom till we see some damn relief for the poor people trying to make games for us to play.
Well, it's I don't know. It could go either way at this point. As KB points out, the AAA part of the industry may be so addicted to toxic habits that they would rather shoot themselves than make any kind of change for the better. You know,
I mean, if it's profitable.
Caro made a quote. Caro made a quote. We admit to no wrongdoing.
Right.
This to me is just like the sweatshops of the early 20th century, how they treated their workers so badly. And if you recall, I mean, if anybody has done a little bit of history, a garment company that caught fire, and all of their female workers in there died because there was no fire escape.
And unfortunately, shit like that is sometimes necessary. Well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it takes shit like that in order to bring change. It should never be necessary.
But I think we're at that point. I think we are at that point where shit is this bad.
Yeah.
Because of the claims of harassment and retaliation, and the horrible working conditions,
right? And
the fact that people just got laid off they just got kicked. They just got kicked to the curb. Oh, we don't need you. We don't need you. You know, QA, go away. These people have no income now.
Anyone who ever deals with anything related to Studio Blue knows for a fact QA is extremely important to any element of game development at all. And you know, we're not privy to the internal conversations at Raven Software, but I can imagine, that when the QA team was let go, they're like, oh, well, you guys can just QA as you do your job. That's bullshit. It's not how QA in a game works.
No, that's not how it works. No. So I think my point is, I think we are at that point.
Yeah.
This forming of the union it's the last move. It's the last move in a desperate salvo to turn things around.
I agree.
And the fact that it's Activision-Blizzard, yeah. The fact that they're trying to squelch it, yeah.
Activision-Blizzard, someone mentioned earlier in the chat, I think it was Kiro, that Activision Blizzard's name is below mud, and that is true. I personally still has had issues with Activision Blizzard for quite some time, but after the sexual harassment, after this, I hold them in a very, very low place. You know, we make fun of companies like Bethesda, we do, and we always will. But I will put Bethesda on a pedestal before Activision Blizzard, because they literally have done everything they can to make themselves look like the evil gaming corporation. I mean, we just need to have like the Activision Blizzard executive staff with like the evil mustaches going, and have like a little mutt character from World of Warcraft going, like Mutsky. Quote me on this.
There may be a silver lining to this, though. Okay. The fact is, everybody's watching.
Yes.
This isn't happening behind closed doors.
Yes. This is not.
Their nasty toxicity has been exposed for the world to see. And at this point, everybody's watching.
They are.
What Activision Blizzard is doing, what's going to happen with the union. Everybody's watching. Activision Blizzard doesn't get to act in the dark anymore.
No, they don't. And they've been using, like all companies, have been using social media to attempt to delegitimize these things. You know, social media is a big thing. News is now a big thing. But the same thing that they're trying to use to tear down this particular movement is being used against them, because everyone's watching.
Yeah.
And what happens in the upcoming months with Raven Software is going to make a huge difference in how the entire industry views both unions and company responses to them. Yeah.
Kara, that's exactly what's happening. In the meantime, before we get some kind of positive resolution to this, right? The worst part is, yes, the people working on the games right now, they're getting hurt.
Yeah.
Paychecks are in jeopardy. Job stability is real. And, quality of life issues, it's real.
Yeah.
It's hurting people right now. And yes, the upper management, the board members, the CEOs with the golden parachutes, yes, they're vultures.
They are.
I'm just going to come out and say it, and I hope this goes viral.
I do too.
All of you board of directors, you shareholders, you're fucking vultures. You are ruining this industry because you don't have a goddamn clue how to make games. You don't even fucking try. And you're destroying people. Shame on you. Shame on you.
You're taking an industry that has been beloved by people since the 80s, an industry that an entire culture, gaming culture, has been formed around, and you are turning it into your personal playground because you feel that your fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders outweighs your
duty to your customers and your employees.
Thank you. I'm tongue-tied. I'm so angry.
You have a duty of care that you're shirking.
Yeah. If your job and the money you're making is so much more important than the rest of the world's perception of games in general and the health of your employees, then you don't deserve a single cent you're getting. Can you quote me on that?
Amen. So yeah, we have a sub. Before we go too much further, we've got a sub from McBacon. Thank you, McBacon. Thank you for your support. 15 months of support, and you're on a 1 month streak.
This is the most
bless you. Thank you.
Passive ooh I've ever given. Thank you.
Ooh woo to you.
Yeah. Gryphon uninstalled Diablo 3 because of his hatred for what Activision-Blizzard has become. I won't play any of their games. Fuck them. Kuda Dude said something that would help support devs under horrible work conditions can also help build courage for devs to speak out from wrongdoing. I agree. Yes.
I agree.
Yes. There needs to be some way that developers can relay their stories without fear of perhaps
retaliation.
You know, that would be,
and that's just it.
That would be something that I wouldn't mind us doing as a side project. Maybe we can create some kind of an anonymous thing and go and just get anonymous information from devs and then just start putting it publicly. This is what companies are doing. Of course, now that I said that, Studio Blue would come under fire, but literally, fuck that.
Let's put the idea out there.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, I mean, we do have message boards. Some of them are anonymous message boards, but I'd say take it a step further. The purpose of what we're talking about, you know, some kind of forum for all game devs, is to start enacting change.
Yes.
Spotlight the abuse so that the right people can see it.
Yeah. The right people need to see this.
People who make laws in the government, people who are outside of the industry, but have just as much of a stake in the success of the business.
Yeah. I agree completely.
Let them see this. Yeah. Let them see. This is not going to go behind closed doors anymore. Let them see.
Real change is scary. Real change is painful. Real change is risky. That is an axiom. But it requires courage to do it. And I think seeing these 19 people from Raven Software have this level of bravery to just try, gives me hope that this industry has a chance at becoming something more than what it is now.
It may be.
What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. If you like what you saw, lay the smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over social media, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.